Welcome back to My Dad Watches The Bachelor. I'm Meredith, and I'm here with my co-host, my dad.
Hey, Meredith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little wet where I'm at, but yeah, I'm worried because I fear that I almost enjoyed the show last night. It seemed to move quickly for me last night.
You know, I enjoyed it as well. I was watching with my friends, and I was saying I feel much more calm watching Tayshia as our lead than I do with Claire. Like, I just feel more relaxed. Everything's back to normal.
Well, just to hop right into it, under highlights, my notes say that Tayshia just seemed like a more appropriate, I'm going to say, hostess, because I'm at the point now where I think that these people are more like hosts or hostesses than anything else, and she just seemed to be much more appropriate than Claire.
Just because she was nice to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, with me, to me, it seemed that with Claire, it was, oh, you're walking on eggshells, and that if you said the wrong thing, some switch was flipped, and she just went dark and escorted you out. And Tayshia just seems a little bit more willing to listen and not as judgmental, and and like you said, she just more comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that leads tend to be more along the Tayshia tracks than they do the Claire tracks. So that's why I feel like things are back to normal and I'm feeling more comfortable with it. Like, we're going to start having normal formatting to this show again, which is what I like to see. That it makes podcasting about the show a bit easier for me.
Well, and as normal as they can figure out crazy dates to have in their resort community with like horses walking, walking up into the pool area. So I don't know who's cleaning up after that, but not the job I would want.
Do you have any other highs that you want to talk about?
Well, I put as a highlight canceling the rose ceremony. I thought that was considering the change in Bachelorette. I thought that was very fair and appropriate, in that some of the guys were a little bit in shock with the whole changeover, and we also got some new potential Bachelor guys that came in as well.
Yeah, I thought that was a good call because, I mean, Tayshia's starting off night one, and typically she would have 30 guys, and she only has 20 right now. So I totally understand why she doesn't want to get rid of any of them when she's already starting 10 men down from a typical season.
Well, it didn't seem like she really had the opportunity to meet all the guys, and I know that happens. They're always fighting for FaceTime and everything, but in this situation, it felt more fair and better for the other guys.
Mm-hmm. You have any other highs?
Well, I don't know if this is a high, but I did enjoy Riley going all at the new guy Spencer, calling him lunch meat, and from Riley, who just comes across as he's got some impressive title, but screams to me that he's an ambulance chasing lawyer in New York, who says he's had a hard upbringing, and if Spencer gets in line, it seems like he's about to go fist up with him.
Yeah, I mean, one of my highs, taking a step back from that, was that we got new guys. I thought they were all pretty cute, specifically Spencer. Very attractive to me, very much my type physically. But I was really surprised that we only got 4 new guys. It seemed kind of like this big hype up and then only 4 dudes. It seemed like a pretty small number to me. But another one of my highs was Tayshia's splashball in general. I love a good Bachelor Nation competitive event. And unfortunately, this wasn't strip splashball. But we did get the Speedo uniform, so I enjoyed it. And we got to see the beginning of Riley and Spencer's little rivalry there. So I thought it was interesting. I also enjoyed Spencer getting called lunch meet. I like a little bit of animosity within the guys. I don't need them all to be best friends.
Well, it does seem like I got the sense that they were sort of setting us up to like say, here are the surviving guys that we've been with for the last few weeks that are they're our guys, and then here are the villainous new guys coming in. So I got a little bit of that vibe, but I'll disagree with you a little bit in that when I get into lowlights, and I don't know if you're done with your highlights, but I had lowlights as why are you bringing in more guys at this point in time? I can't remember the names of the guys that are left, and now you're throwing these new guys at me. So I was, to me, that was unnecessary. I thought 16 guys was very sufficient for where we were at, but so and I don't even think I know all their names. There was Spencer, who's like the surfer guy, and who's the guy with the mustache thing going on?
I think his name was Noah. That mustache needs to go.
And he reminds me of someone. I can't remember who, but he I don't know maybe the golfer Ricky Fowler. I don't know. He looks like somebody I should know, and so I didn't like that. And then it's more. We're wearing Speedos now. I mean, this reminded me of the naked dodgeball, and I just couldn't help but think, what would Joseph say about this? I bet he would not have liked it.
Wow, that's why he's long gone. I felt pretty bad for poor Blake Moynes, though. He lost the strip dodgeball as well as the Speedo splashball, and this poor kid, he just can't catch a break. He just wants to spend time with the girl, and he's never going to get that chance.
I know he was pretty mopey.
He's been mopey since Claire left. I think he needs to pull a Jason and get out of here.
Well, what other highlights or lowlights do you have?
Well, my last high was I enjoyed the evening portion of Brendan and Tayshia's one-on-one date. I was not really into Brendan. I was like, why is he getting the first one-on-one? There's so many more attractive guys. I don't know anything about him. And then by the end of their date, I was like, okay, I think I enjoy Brendan. And I thought that their dinner date was really nice, and like how nervous he was to tell Tayshia about being married and divorced. And I guess he didn't realize that Tayshia had also been married and divorced. And it was just like a very sweet and sincere conversation to me. I can see that. I can see Brendan maybe being top 4 material for Tayshia.
Well, I tend to agree with you. I didn't put it down in either of those categories, but at first I sort of felt like, Brendan is just so, he's fine. He doesn't seem to stand out to me. I think he's got funny hair, but he seems like a normal guy. And it was like, why are you picking him? Why is he going on this date? And then as the date went on, like you, I sort of warmed up to him and sort of felt like, hey, ultimately you probably want to be with a normal guy. So that's great. Good for Brendan. And like you said, I appreciated the honest conversation that they had, and it seemed to be a small piece of normalcy for this show.
Yeah, I really liked when he said, I'm not the hottest guy in the house, I'm not the smartest guy, and but I'm pretty well-rounded, and that might not be very hot, but it's definitely husband material. I was like, you know what? We do like a well-rounded guy here.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, since you seem to be ready to rate all the new guys coming in. So that's good that you recognize marriage material. Good for you.
No, I have a lot of levels to me. Okay.
You're a complicated young lady. That's fine.
Okay, let's get into my lows. My first one is Tayshia trying to explain her job to the new men. I don't remember what Tayshia was before she came on the show the first time, but she's definitely just an influencer now. Like, she makes all of her money on Instagram, going to events, making appearances, all of that kind of stuff. And she described it as like the beauty and lifestyle space. And I don't know, is that how we're defining influencers in a professional way, like on resumes now? But it made me laugh. I respect people that can make their living as an Instagram influencer, but Probably just because I'm jealous of it. I wish I could make money that way, but it was a low for me, like watching her stumble through trying to explain being an influencer.
Yeah, and I'm my generation is really not comfortable or familiar with someone's vocation being a Instagram influencer. So I sort of knew what she was saying. I'm not seeing a lot of resumes come across my desk with that as a vocation. So, whatever, if that's what you can do and make a living, to me, it sounds like a professional athlete who has a shelf life for a short period of time. I would assume that an influencer also better make the money while they can, because that's probably not a long-term career.
Yeah, definitely. Another one of my lows was that we are taking time away from the beginning of Tayshia season to talk about Claire and Dale. I think I can speak for a majority of Bachelor Nation when I say we don't care anymore and we're ready to move on. I don't need 20 minutes of Chris Harrison asking Claire and Dale if they ever talked before the show. We don't care. It's in the past. We would like to forget it ever happened. Please don't ever show Claire and Dale on my screen again. I'm over it.
Well, I'm sad to see that you don't appreciate Chris Harrison's investigative journalism skills there, and that he was, doing his best to crack this case and figure out whether there had been communication between them, and how many cries did we get out of Claire during that session?
Just 2, but 2 and 20, 2 in like the 10-minute interview is a good amount. And I don't appreciate Chris Harrison's investigative journalism, because we had this last week when he's sitting down with Claire and being like, tell me the truth. Did you ever talk to him? And she said no. And like, Claire's freaking psycho, but she's not a liar. Like, she seems psycho because she has no filter and is always telling the truth. I don't think that she lied to us about that.
Okay. Well, I didn't, I watch them like I watch a car wreck. It's hard to turn away, but I've had enough of them as well.
Okay. My last low is poor Jason. I think I said this every single week. He has just been destroyed by that emotional one-on-one with Claire, and he has never been able to recover. We have turned on the fire hydrant that is his feelings, and we have no way to shut it off, and he is just spewing them all over the place. Like, he even said he fell in love with Claire. Are you kidding me? Is that a joke? I just do not believe that at all. It just seems pathetic to me.
Well, as you remember, I chose Jason as one of my finalists, and I think one of the reasons that I did was that in his bio, he specifically said that he was coming there because he was really interested in Claire and this particular person. So I think he came into it with the focus on her, which I guess is what we all would hope these guys would be doing, and not just going there to create their influencer lifestyle vocation. But that's what happens when you make these guys try to get in touch with their feelings, bad things. So, be careful about that, of turning on that, as you say, the fire hose of feelings or whatever from folks. And poor Jason, just always at this point, as we recall, he's a former player, football player. We worry about
his mental health.
Yeah, over the long term. And, to me, he sort of strikes me as the guy that, a little push in a certain direction, and he just might go a little bit psycho.
Yeah, which, maybe would have worked well with Claire. But
maybe.
I'm glad he's gone. I think it's for the best. I also just don't want to talk about him anymore, because I just keep saying the same thing, because he is just not growing as a character. He is stuck, and I'm ready to say bye. However, I didn't really like the way Tayshia handled the goodbye at first, like trying to not force him, but be like, are you sure? Like, I don't want you to miss out on something because you're not open to it here. And I'm like, Tayshia, come on. Don't be greedy, girl. You got 19 other guys that are excited to be there for you. Like, you can let this one out.
Well, I'm with you on that, and to me that transitions to my right reasons and wrong reasons. If you're ready to go there,
Let's do it.
okay. And that, as I think I've said on this podcast before, I've been waiting for the person to wake up one day and say, I'm not really into this girl, or I'm not here for the right reasons. I got to go. And Jason was that guy who, it's nice that we're hanging out at a resort, that he seems to actually be well liked by the other guys and seems to be enjoying hanging out there with them. But, because Claire's put him through the ringer and he's now damaged, he recognizes that he needs to get out and not take up time with Tayshia that could be used by other guys. So, to me, he's a hero for how we approach this, and a normal guy, a guy that I'd like to go get a beer with at some point in time. And if a bar fight breaks out, I want him to be on my side.
I do not consider him a hero. I just cannot get past the emotional psychopath that fell in love with Claire also in less than 12 days. I mean, Claire's pretty and all, but she's a hot mess. Why are all these guys falling in love with her? And why aren't any of them falling in love with me? I'm way more eligible and sane.
Well, they haven't met you yet, okay? So just chill out, and seeing that you're not going to go on that show,
if you're lucky.
The dad commands, that's not how we want you to meet those fellows. So, and what are the odds that Jason ends up on the island show?
I would say pretty high. If he can reel in his fire hydrant of feelings, I think he could do pretty well there next summer.
So, me and the other dads have a virtual cocktail hour every Monday night, and the other dads are big fans of the podcast, and we were trying to trying to come up with an appropriate name for the island show, and we sort of went around and around, and we came up with Chlamydia Island. How does that sound to you?
I like your old name better.
I'm not allowed to use that on the podcast.
I think you need to keep workshopping that name then. I'm not sold on it.
All right. Well, we'll bring that back up to the group next week.
Okay. So do you have any other right reasons?
So I going back to your friend Claire and Dale, and I didn't know if this is a right reason or wrong reason, and Claire is a hot mess, and she's got this wonderful guy of her dreams, and she's still crying and making a scene, and she was talking about, just last night I was having all this anxiety and pacing around, and Dale was there for me and everything, and I'm thinking, well, on the one hand, that's great for Dale. I mean, it seems like he's a very comforting, certainly very calming influence on roller coaster Claire. And then on the other hand, I'm saying, wrong reason, you're gonna chase this guy off, and I can see you having another sit down with Chris Harrison next season, explaining why you and Dale broke up, and I don't know why you'll say the reason is, but it's because it's going to be hard on poor Dale there. He's got a lot of work to do if he's going to be able to make it with this with Claire.
Yeah, they seem to be doing well though. I follow Claire on Instagram. She and Dale went to his hometown in one of the Dakotas, don't remember which one, and she met the family. They did the whole hometown date thing, and they seem to still be doing pretty well. So he's had her psycho crazy self to him, just the two of them since they got off the show, and he's lasted this long. So I think that's a good sign.
Well, I guess that is a good sign. I mean, I was thinking to myself, what do we really know about Dale? Because he's sort of been much more quiet, in which with Claire, it's hard to sometimes get a word in. Is he a mafioso? Is he?
No, he's a Party City model.
Is that a full-time job too?
I don't know. I don't know. We know that he played on multiple practice squads in the NFL, and that he models for Party City in his past. And you know, if that doesn't make a great guy, then what does these days?
When you bring that guy home, I'm sort of going to scratch my head a little bit and say, and what is your income potential now, Dale? Practice squad football player and Party City model. I'm worried. How are you going to support my lovely daughter?
And his answer is Instagram influencer.
Okay, well,
okay.
All right.
Let's get into some better things. My right reasons are all pretty much like the same thing with different people. Like Ivan's first conversation with Tayshia. Like, I really like Ivan. You have him in your top 4. I wish I had him. He seems really, I just like him a lot. He seems like the nerdy, sweet guy. He plays chess. Big fan there. And then I was getting good vibes between Zach and Tayshia. They seem to have some good chemistry, even though it wasn't something I expected. I enjoyed watching them talk. And then I had the same feeling between Easy and Tayshia. They seem to be a really fun and giggly couple. Like, I just saw so many potential connections that Tayshia was making, and I really enjoyed seeing it, since that's not something that we really got from the first 4 episodes of this season.
Yeah, well, I agree, and I've been a fan of Ivan. He also strikes me as marriage material, and he's a little bit shy, but if you read his bio, he seemed very accomplished and also had earning potential. I think he's an engineer or something. So I'm pro Ivan, so I'm with you on that.
Mm-hmm. So those were my right reasons. I enjoyed seeing Tayshia making all of these good connections with guys that I saw her having good connections with, and guys maybe I wasn't expecting, but it's been fun to see, and I'm excited to see who actually ends up in her final 4, because I really haven't been able to pin down what Tayshia's type is. She doesn't seem to have like a stereotypical type that she goes for, so it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I didn't choose Easy to be in the final 4, but I've enjoyed him very much. Although I will say, it seems like we got a shot of him at some point in a sleeveless hoodie when he was hanging out in the house, which I questioned his fashion sense. But it's probably, I'm probably not exactly the guy that should be questioning fashion sense at this point.
I mean, he's going for the Bill Belichick look. You got to respect that.
Well, I think Easy probably has better toned arms than Bill Belichick, but
that's why Bill Belichick wears that T-shirt underneath.
Okay. What else you got?
Well, do you have any other right reasons, or we can move to the wrong ones?
Let's go ahead and move to the wrong ones.
Okay. My wrong reason, I'm giving it to Spencer. He's an early favorite for me coming out of the limo. I said it before, a very attractive guy, but I'm also getting some villainy vibes from him. Even though he got the first impression rose, got Tayshia's first kiss, there's just something about him. He looks like he enjoys stirring the pot. He seems like the typical frat boy that knows he has daddy's money behind him, and he's not afraid to stand up to the cops downtown. That's the vibe I get from him. And I think Kenny said it best. He said, don't take this the wrong way, bro. You kind of come off as a dick.
Well, I think we got that bleeped out, but I sort of thought that was what Kenny was saying as well. Yes.
Yeah. So he just seems like quite the pretty boy to me. That he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he has daddy's money behind him, and I think that Tayshia's going to fall for it for a bit, but I don't think that she's going to end up with him, and I think he's going to be our new season villain.
Yeah, well, I could see that coming, and as we mentioned, Riley also wants to take him on, was calling him lunch meat. So it looks like he's going to be getting fire from several different directions there, and that's fine with me.
Yeah, the old guys do not seem to like him. Not like old as an age, but our original guys.
Yeah, and I put down I just sort of found it amusing, and I called it wrong reason. Maybe it's not, but yeah, these guys all seem rather downcast, sitting around at the beginning of the show, not knowing what was going on, and then Tayshia walks in, and Tayshia is a very beautiful looking woman, and their spirits just go boom right through the roof, and that we're because they're guys and they're just ogling her, and and obviously physical attraction is one thing, but that's ultimately not what will make the relationship. But I was just amused by that. And the other thing I put down for wrong reason is I think it's Jordan. He's the fellow with the glasses, I think. Mm-hmm. They were interviewing him, and he was saying, yeah, I was thinking about going home. And I think this is after beautiful Tayshia comes in. But then I thought about it, and it's like, the process works, so I'm going to stay here. And I'm like saying, the process works. How many of these things actually work out? Not very many, Jordan. So enjoy the view, but the process doesn't work.
It works for some, and the Bachelorette seasons have a better track record of success than the Bachelor seasons. I mean, do we need to get into why? I mean, sure, I will. I think it's because women know what they want and men don't. And so the female leads, they pick what's good for them, and the male leads don't. And that's why Bachelorette seasons are more successful. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I think this process will work. And if we get 2 love stories out of one season, you know what? I'm here for it.
Well, who's your MVP of the show last night?
Well, obviously it's Tayshia. She's just so refreshing to have on the show. It's nice to have a sane lead again. She's just happy and bubbly and bringing a lot of energy. And I just genuinely enjoyed watching it for the first time this season. I've felt comfortable again.
Well, good call, safe call, and I think that's the right call.
Mm-hmm. So, you have any fatherly advice to wrap us up?
A few things. Number one, I never really got a good handle on how long Claire was on the show before she and Dale,
12 days.
12 days, so I put, don't date somebody for 2 weeks and then get engaged to them. So that's fatherly advice number one.
We'll see about that one.
Please. Some attributes that I found to be discussed or in the show that I don't usually see that I sort of like, I felt to be good attributes if you're in a relationship. Claire was saying that Dale is a strong man, but also vulnerable, which I think is nice. Tayshia was saying that Brendan was humble, which he seems to be, as you were saying. You're saying he's not the most handsome guy, he's not the smartest guy, but he's marriage material. And just the whole honesty approach that Brendan and Tayshia used in talking about their previous marriages and relationships and everything. I thought those were all great attributes to build a strong, real relationship that I hope people can use. And then my final piece of dad advice is, Chris is interviewing Claire and Dale and asks what's next, and Claire just blurts out, "Babies." And I just wrote down, do your best to not make the babies before you get married. It doesn't always work out that way, but from a dad's approach, please get married first, then have the babies.
Well, that's a very traditional view. It's 2020 now. Global pandemic, there are really no rules anymore. We can do things how we'd like. However, I do think that Claire is definitely poking holes in all of her condoms with Dale. She is that kind of girl.
All right. Well, let's leave it with that visual.
Okay. Join us next week to hear all about Tayshia's season from the right perspective and my dad.